Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Alpha Desert Racing Championship. Today we are watching the Challenger Series, the open-wheel buggy version of the Upper Series, aka the Truck Series. In the Challenger Series, we are vying for points, trying to earn a seat in the ever-coveted Truck Series. We'll see if anyone has what it takes to compete in the Truck Series, but for now, yes, we are in the Challenger Series. As mentioned before, it's all open-wheel, all buggy, truggy, Ultra 4, and anything else custom that is willing to try to compete. Today we have 18 drivers fighting for points. Points are very limited, as we'll explain the rules right here. Time starts when the vehicle moves. Stock tire pressure, engine tuning, and suspension are required. First place gets 10 points, 10th place gets 1 point. Any position past 10th place gets 0 points. If for some reason there are enough DNFs get points based on distance completed. It does not matter other than distance completed. Nothing else matters. Doesn't matter what your time is past the midpoint. Nothing else matters other than distance. So distance is key if it's a tough course. And there's several people failing. Other than that, the rules are simple. Make it around the track, get from point A to point B in the fastest time possible. All right, now let's take a look at today's track map. It is going to be a circuit track. And starting at the green, you can see we are going around, taking a right turn through the horseshoe, back into a left-handed horseshoe, down a very long straightaway that actually is a split section about 2/3 of the way down, taking a left hand and then a right hand up over the hill, back into a straightaway. There's some elevation change through there, some very bumpy sections, back into the left-handed horseshoe, back down the straightaway, over a highway jump, very treacherous, left hand into a very long, kind of wavy straightaway, and then back into the main circuit, the main oval there. It's a very exciting track, very dangerous track, lots can go wrong, very technical in some parts. All right, and driver number 1 is going to be Sven Larson for rough country crawling. And as mentioned before, everything is open-wheeled. You'll see very, very different body designs, chassis designs, suspension designs, but everything is, at the end of the day, open-wheeled. Let's see what Sven can do in this rough country crawling vehicle. Into the first right-hand turn. This one is tricky. It is a bank turn. Your tires can catch, especially with these taller off-road tires. So it's very important to be careful through there. Oh, and Sven makes a little bit of contact through the gap under the jump. And then we get into the long straightaway. The first of many. Big step down. Nice onboard view here. You can see just how rough the straightaway is and how much that suspension has to work to keep everything smooth. Here's the split section. He decides to go right. I'm very curious to see what everyone decides to do, which section is deemed the faster, or if it's more up to preference. Again, this left-hander need to be a little bit careful. It is banked, it is bumpy. Your tires can catch, and they will roll. Sven is making light work of this section, actually. Down the hill, under the highway. Past the checkpoint. That is the medical checkpoint. Big thanks to all those who are contributing this weekend for our driver safety and all the fan safety. Let's get back to Sven through what's probably one of the more technical sections of this course. Very bumpy, very up and down. Right there, that little bump right there has been catching drivers off all day long in practice. through the halfway point right there. Those, you'll see those flags. Those are deemed the halfway point, and that is where times will be evaluated, seeing if they are faster or slower than the current fast time. Over the highway, getting a little sideways. He hangs on to it though, very impressive. And now it is basically as fast as you can go while still staying, you know, on all four wheels. The left-hander here. It is kind of a split lane right there. You can see there's two different banks. You just want to make sure you don't get caught up on the middle of them. Ooh, Sven's getting a little tail happy there. And some rollers in this section can cause problems for certain suspensions. Sven again making light work of it. Right there is just a little bit of a step up, and then it steps back down into this corner. It's just important to get through this corner carefully, and Sven goes a little bit wide here. He's going to have to punch it up the jump, over the gap, in front of the crowd. And we're coming into our last right-hander of the course. You want to make sure you don't go too hard here. You want to make sure you stay smooth through that corner. And Sven Larsson's going to finish with a 3:11.25. That is going to be the time to beat for now. Let's see if he can hang on to it for the rest of the day. And our standings are obviously Sven Larsson, first place, with a 3:11.25. It is also important to note that all times are measured to the 100th. We don't go anything past that. So anything past that is just considered a tie. Other than that, the times are pretty simple. Obviously, the fastest time wins. As you saw, there are some roller sections, some elevation changes. It's a very fun course today, very fast overall. A lot of the drivers are really liking it. It is pushing some vehicles, some of the lower power vehicles, to their limit, but everyone is enjoying it today. So I hope you enjoy as well for the rest of the day. On to driver number 2. Sarah King with the Track Fab Race Group. This is by far the most powerful vehicle of the day, hovering somewhere in between 1,000 and 1,100 horsepower. It is a 4-wheel drive monster, but we will see if all that power equates into fast time or if it's actually possibly too much power. That was a bit of their concern for this. They may have to tune it down, put some different components in, and try to limit some of the power. As mentioned before, Sarah King is the driver. She is very light, so all that power, I mean, very low weight to power ratio. She's making light work of the step down, sending it completely. Looks like she's going to go possibly left here through the split section yet, and she will. You see the left section has a little bit more kind of a bumpy section, but it puts you on the inside of the next corner here. But she's going to go outside regardless. Very smooth to the corner. There's a nice little onboard shot of, ooh, uphill. Gets a little squirrely. You just see how much that suspension is working. It's interesting from this perspective. Up in the sky, it feels like they are not really hitting that bumpy of a area, like terrain, sorry. But as you can see, they are working very hard. It looks like she kind of wheelied up the hill from under the highway there. Just staying smooth and consistent through this section is key for a fast time. It's not necessarily throttling as hard as you can go. She gets a little squirrely through that bump. Like I mentioned before, that little dip there has been kind of a pain for a lot of drivers. Through the halfway point, she is slower than Sven, but she's got a lot of power and a lot of straightaway to try to catch up here on time. It should be mentioned, I do believe the halfway timer is based on the fast time for the halfway point. I do not believe it is based on the fast time overall. It is based on who got through the first half the quickest. So just something to keep in mind. So it's not necessarily measuring them against who's fastest later on. It's who got fastest through the first half. Let us know in the comments down below if you like that system or if you'd rather just have it based on who the fast time is. But Sarah King is flying through these rollers. You can see she's getting airborne over every single one of them. As mentioned before, this course really tests all different kinds of suspension. And there are different suspension setups in this series. So it is going to be fun to see how everyone's vehicles handle this course. Sarah King sends it over the jump, putting on a good show for the crowd, pushing a little wide through that final horseshoe. And you can just hear she's on the throttle. Oh, she catches the barrier. But she's going to finish with a 309.55. She brought it back, and that's going to put her in first place for now. And your current standings are: first place, Sarah King with a 309.55. Second place, Sven Larson with a 311.25. Overall, pretty solid run from Sarah King. As you can see, she got a little too heavy on the throttle there and pushed wide right at the end. Looks like she caught some of the barriers, and those barriers are not good for the sidewalls of the tires. They can blow a tire very, very easily. But she made it through and is in current pole position, first place. Congrats to Sarah King. Make sure you stay tuned because we, as mentioned before, we do have 16 more drivers to go. For round one, Alpha Desert Racing Championship, coordinators decided to run all drivers for the first round. Just an example to show what we have in store for the rest of the season. Driver number 3 is going to be Grant Tanaka for Dusty River Racing. Yeah, as mentioned before, they wanted to run every driver for the first round just to give an example of what the season will look like. Future rounds, from the murmurs I have heard up here in the booth, they are going to be running the top 10. There will be a qualifying before the race, and the top 10 drivers will actually make it onto the broadcast. Let us know in the comment section down below if that's something you guys like, or if you'd rather just see a mega video every week, or every round. There we go. Every round of the all vehicles driving. But yeah, for now, the tentative plan is to run just the top 10 who qualify, just to save time on the broadcast. Grant Tanaka is flying down the first straightaway. Very smooth, actually. Looks like that suspension is handling a little bit better than Sarah King's did. And I mentioned before different suspension setups, and there are quite a few different chassis setups, suspension setups. You may have noticed nobody's had the same vehicle yet, and that's going to continue for about 98% of the series. There's just a few of the same chassis, different engines. But yeah, there's different suspensions. There's independent, there's solid axle. Some vehicles have 2 solid axle, front and back. Some people have all independent all around, and then some people have independent on the front, solid axle on the rear. And that can cause different handling characteristics, drastically different handling characteristics. But right now, it seems independent suspension is the fastest one. Obviously, that's not the only factor. Driver is a big factor. And let's see where Grant is. He is currently beating the fast time at the halfway point. Grant having to slow up there a little bit. You can listen to his engine tone, having to slow up, maybe shift it up too. Big jump over the highway, hangs on to it. It's a little squirrely coming into the corner. Feathering that throttle. He's gonna be back down on the throttle hard down the straightaway. Ooh, big nose up there, big nose wheelie. That can be very, very dangerous. While you're wheeling like that, your rear tires are sometimes completely airborne, so you are just flying through the air, quite literally. And when those rear tires catch the next bump, they can send you flipping forwards into a tumble. And through the big rollers here, you can hear Grant is feathering the throttle quite nicely. Onto the step up, back step down. Into the last left-hander of the course. Hard on the throttle for the jump. Sends it big, almost past the bleachers completely. You can tell he's really trying to gain back some time for having to feather the throttle through those rollers. Back on the throttle to the finish line, and he will finish with a 309.54. Nice run from Grant. Let's see where that leaves him. And your standings are going to be Grant Tanaka with a 309.54, Sarah King with a 309.55, Sven Larson with a 311.25. So right now, first and second place split by 1/100th of a second. I don't think it literally cannot get much closer than that, other than a tie in the series. As mentioned before, we only go to the 100th, so it cannot get closer other than a tie. So congrats to Grant Tanaka beating out Sarah King by 1/100th of a second. I did not think we'd see something like that in the first round, maybe in future rounds, but that is impressive. All right, on to driver number 4, James Hind in the Brenthel Industries racing vehicle. This is a factory vehicle, as with many of them. So James Hind has the support. Does he have what it takes to get to the top of the leaderboard? And off we go. Over the first little tabletop into the right-handed horseshoe. You see him push a little bit wide there. Into the left-handed horseshoe. And it just looks like it's pushing a little bit. And as mentioned in the rule set, no tire pressure changes, although that rule may change in the future. No engine tuning, no suspension tuning. So you can change components, but all components cannot be tuned further than just the installation and the factory set recommendations. But as mentioned, the tire pressure may actually change. But what you can do is change your tires. So for drivers that may be pushing 1 week very hard, you could add a different tread, different manufacturer, different rubber softness, and try to help with that push, as opposed to just changing your tire pressure for traction. So it adds a bit of a challenge, but it also adds a little bit of kind of like a stock car racing kind of feel where everything is somewhat regulated. But yeah, it's a different rule set. Things are subject to change eventually. And the Brenthel vehicle handling what's considered one of the more technical sections quite well, actually. It seems like it handled the technical section better than a lot of the fast-flowing sections. And you'll get that with some vehicles. Some of them... Ooh, his rear end hits hard on the rocks there. Let's see if he has any damage. He's going to keep going. Yeah, as I was mentioning, you'll get some vehicles that are very good through slow technical and just struggle on fast-flowing sections like this. And that is the fun of desert racing, is there is so many little specialties that a vehicle can have and so many weaknesses as well. You can hear it let off big time through the highway gap. Ooh, up on two wheels. It seems like he's a little flustered after that big hit there. We'll see if all the parts hang on. Hopefully he didn't have too much damage to that. He may be fighting some axle damage. Clearly, it didn't hit too hard because this is a two-wheel drive vehicle and it's still driving just fine. Or so it seems. Through the rollers. Let's see how well he can handle this. Oh, nosedives. Very, very good recovery on that. Up onto the step up. Down. The step down into the corner leading up to the jump. Getting him hard on the throttle. Over the jump. And you know, the nice thing about a series like this is the runs are so short. You can really, if you have the money and funding to, you can really push the engine about as hard as it will go. So you can really, really push these vehicles. And James Hind will finish with a 3:27.18. That's going to put him in 4th place at the current time. Let's take a look at the standings in a minute. So your current standings are 1st place Grant Tanaka, 2nd place Sarah King, 3rd place Sven Larson, and 4th place James Hind. And as mentioned before, James Hind had a bit of a hard hit there at the halfway point that may or may not have affected him. He was already struggling a little bit with pushing. They may have to tune some stuff for next week, depending on where we're at. Or next round, sorry. Yeah, hopefully James Hind in the next round can kind of get things a little bit together. Brenthal is a somewhat of a powerhouse brand, so it'd be nice to see them get a little bit closer to the top of the table. On to the next driver. Driver number 5 is gonna be I'm not sure. Stand by. We're gonna figure this out quick. Let's go find out who is next. Driver number 5 is Travis Bonelli. And it sounds like we're having some technical difficulties here. No audio, and some of the display isn't quite working correctly. So, Travis Bonelli in this round is driving a loaner vehicle. So this is not his regular vehicle, so I'm sure he's going to be pushing it to the max. He is known for pushing things about as far as they'll go. Even a borrowed vehicle, it seems. And as you can see, he is flat out driving. Unfortunately, we don't have the audio because I'm sure he is just redlining it right now. Yeah, Travis Bonelli is seen as something of a wild card in all of his previous race series, so I am very excited to see what he can do this season. He has not announced what vehicle he's actually driving yet. You saw in the driver preview, it looked like another track fab, but that may have been a just stand-in vehicle. He said he's got some something exciting to drive. Not sure yet. As mentioned, this is just a loaner vehicle. This one will not be racing in the series. But he is making the most of it right now. Flying under the highway. Nice onboard shot there, showing you the elevation change into what is considered the technical section. And it doesn't even look like he's just letting up. He is flying right now. Through the halfway section, and he did set the fastest mid time. So as of right now, Travis Bonelli will be the time to beat for the mid time. There's also been talks for setting a midpoint for every race, and fastest mid time gets a bonus point. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of that. We are trying to make this something of a fan, letting the fans have input of in the series. So yeah, let us know if you think the fastest midpoint should get an extra point. And like I said, technical difficulties on this run here. I'm not sure what's going on. Looks like they were trying to go to an onboard shot and it didn't work. But Travis Bonelli is cruising through this circuit right now. You can see he sends it down the step down into the last left-handed corner. And flooring it for the jump. Sending it big for the fans. Into the last horseshoe. Ooh, starting to push wide. Catches the wall. And he has 2 flats. 2 left side flats right there just from catching the wall. As mentioned before, those barriers are dangerous. You want to avoid them. And he's going to finish with a 307.47. And I feel like that could have been a lot quicker if he wouldn't have caught that wall there. So, despite hitting the wall, blowing out 2 left-sided tires, Travis Bonelli is going to be in first place with a 307.47, 2 whole seconds ahead of Grant Tanaka. As mentioned before, Travis is known for absolutely sending it. He's either going to finish very high up on the table or just not finish at all. That's kind of his motto, his MO, and he's showing it off today. Let's see if that 2-second gap is going to be enough to hang on to first place for the rest of the day. But as of right now, congrats to Travis Bonelli on that very fast blistering run. And driver number 6 coming from Quebec, Canada, Philip St. Pierre for Team Corsair Racing in the camouflage Jeep. Philip St. Pierre is no stranger to off-road racing. Let's see what he can do in his classic Jeep. Into the left-handed horseshoe. Ooh, bicycles a little bit through there. Almost catches the wall, it looks like. I think he's good. And you could hear that Jeep's exhaust just screaming. Very loud vehicle. He's going to choose the left section here, and that suspension is just magnificent. Barely any body movement through that section, and it's quite bumpy. Into the right-hander going uphill here. Gets to the top of the hill, sideways through the top of the hill, handles it beautifully, back down. Through the underground section, under the highway, past the medical checkpoint. Let's get a nice onboard shot of him going through this technical section. You can see his suspension is eating every bit of it. And he's another driver who, it doesn't even sound like he's letting up. It really doesn't seem like he's willing to let up. You can tell he really wants this fast time. But will he get the halfway fast time? No, he will not. Here he goes down the back straightaway. Coming up to the highway here. Let's see what he does over the highway. I'm willing to bet he full sends it. And he does. He handles it perfectly. As you can hear, he barely lets off the throttle. Into his left-hander, let's see. He's kind of straddling the line there. Hangs on to it. As mentioned before, that left-hander does have a bit of a split section, kind of 2 berms. Ooh! Endos a little bit there. But yeah, that left-handed turn has a little bit of a split section, and if you straddle the berm, it can really cause problems for you through that corner. St. Pierre is flying right now. A little bit of a kind of mistake to that corner there, but still very fast time. Over the jump, through the final right-hander. He takes it pretty slow. Ooh, you can see the back end kicks out a little bit. He loses a lot of momentum there. And he will finish with a 308.22. That'll put him in second place currently. So, your current standings are Travis Benelli in first place. Second place is Philip St. Pierre with his 308.22. Third place, Grant Tanaka. Fourth place, Sarah King. Fifth place, Sven Larson. And I mentioned before that Philip St. Pierre is from Quebec, Canada, Montreal. Just a nice little shout out to Grant Tanaka being from Japan. And James Hind in sixth place. And then also Sven Larson being from Norway. So we do have a bit of an international lineup here. Not too many, but we have a few. And we do have a few coming up as well. Driver number 7 is going to be Tony Reber for Team Off-Road Racing. Tony Reber is one of 3 drivers for Team Off-Road. They have 2 more, all different vehicles. This one being their lowest powered vehicle. Tony Reber is the newest member of the team. This one is a bit of a kind of a junior vehicle, if you want to call it, like second team type of vehicle. So definitely not going to be the fastest, but also trying to get some of that seat time in behind the wheel to get him prepared for the faster vehicles. And this is actually a modified Autobello, so you may recognize it, it may look familiar. I believe 2 of the 3 vehicles are modified Autobellos. They just signed that partnership this season. They said they're very excited to see what they can do as something of a farm team, basically. As many of you may know, they do have a truck in the series as well, in the upper series, so they are a very well-established team. Tony Reber is making pretty light work for this section for being one of the lowest powered vehicles on the grid. You can hear he has to let off a little bit. Getting a little squirrely down the hill, actually. Under the highway. Past the medical checkpoint. Into the technical section. Ooh, getting a little sideways. Catches the tire. And he is going to end up on his side. That's a very unfortunate end for Tony Reber's run there. I thought he was going to do he was doing quite well, actually. As mentioned before, he is new to the team, new to off-road racing, and unfortunately, he's going to be the first DNF of the day. And that's going to put him in last place. First place, again, Travis Benelli. Second place, Philip St. Pierre. Third place, Grant Tanaka. Fourth place, Sarah King. Fifth place, Sven Larson. And then sixth place will be James Hind. And seventh place, DNF, Tony Reber. So an unfortunate start for Team Off-Road. As mentioned before, they are a bit of a powerhouse in the game. So it's sad to see them start with a DNF on their inaugural race of the Off-Road or Alpha Desert Racing Championship Challenger Series. Driver number 8 is going to be Kevin Williams for Revamped Off-Road. The beautiful retro scheme on his vehicle. And off to a very quick start off the line. Through the first right-hander. Into the left-hander. Let's see if he can get a good run into the straightaway. The push is pretty wide there, actually. Foot to the floor. Big air into the step down onto the straightaway. And Kevin Williams is something of a wild card. He's kind of new to the scene. Not a factory team, so I'm very excited to see what he can do. It seems if he can keep this pace, he is going to be just fine in the series. Through the right-hander going up the hill now. It seems like he has a very fast vehicle here. I think the big thing for him is going to be keeping it under control and knowing when to push and when to be a little more cautious. Hard on the brakes into the technical section. It is very easy to blow straight through that first corner there. But he is handling it quite well. He's going to just take that corner pretty quick through the halfway point. And he's not going to beat the fastest halfway time. Travis Bonelli still holding that fast time. A nice onboard shot through the back straight. As you can see, it looks, from the helicopter view, it looks very smooth. It is not. It is anything but smooth. Nice view of the highway gap. Just a full send over that highway. Kevin Williams having a great run right now. Takes the inside line through that corner. Barely has to let up. It's a little bouncy through the corner into the rollers. He's just kind of... He kind of just handled them like they didn't exist. Ooh, hits the front of the step up pretty hard, though. That could have been dangerous. And as I mentioned before, I think Kevin is going to have to really focus on when to push and when to be a little more cautious. That the face of that step up could have really, really ended his day with a broken vehicle or upside down. So he's lucky there. But he's having just a blistering run still. With a 3:03.47. So despite getting a little squirrely, a fantastic run. So I guess I will eat my words. Kevin Williams, the wild card, the new kid to the scene, knows exactly what he's doing and when to push and when not to push with a 3:03.47, 4 seconds faster than Travis Bonelli. That is a blistering fast speed. So that's going to put Kevin Williams first place. Like I said, privateer team no less. Second place, Travis Bonelli. And then, unfortunately, Tony Reber all the way down in 8th. As mentioned, with Team Off-Road, they do have 2 more entries in the day. So they have plenty of time to make up some points. Up next is Hayden Crosby for Team Nomi Racing. You'll notice this is another track fab chassis, different engine. This one is not 8,000 horsepower. So Let's see what Hayden can do with this four-wheel drive platform. Getting a little air wheelie over the tabletop there. Smooth through the first right hand. See if you can get smooth through the left hand. Hard on the brakes there. And smooth through that horseshoe as well. Nice onboard shot. Big jump over the step down. Getting a little bit wide. That can sometimes, as you can see, make the rest of that straightaway a little squirrely. He's going to take the left section. Yeah, he just seems a little squirrely now. Hard on the brakes through the left-hander here. As mentioned before, that is a little bit of a treacherous turn just because it's banked and sharp. So sometimes the tires can catch. And right there, his tires do catch through the right-handed turn. Going up the hill, you can see he bicycled a little bit. And a lot of these guys are running open differentials, meaning not all four tires are always spinning at the same time. Some people run a lock differential, so when you bicycle, it's not quite as detrimental, but you also lose a little bit of that handling. Hayden Crosby handling the technical section very well, very smooth. Little bobble there. He's going to be very cautious on that big dip there. Through the halfway point, he is not going to set the fast time. Just as a reference, if you were watching the clock up top, at the halfway point, Travis Bonelli, the fast time for him is a 1:39.33. So that is the time they are going to have to beat to make that clock timer green from now on. Ooh, big hit. Big hit in the front end there off the highway jump. You can hear he's having to feather the throttle there. He's probably a little bit rattled, seeing stars possibly. So not the smoothest run right now, but oh my gosh, another big hit. Like I said, he may be recovering from that first big hit over the highway there. That was a very hard kind of slap down onto the ground. And you can see, unfortunately, his suspension is bouncing over every single roller there, so that's not helping him gain too much speed through there. Obviously, the key to speed is keeping all four wheels on the ground, and when you're bouncing over everything, it's not always the best. Big send. Probably the furthest send so far over the jump. Almost clears the entire bleacher section. Through the final turn here, and he will finish with a 3:09.06. So not the worst run, despite how kind of bouncy it was. Pretty good recovery from Hayden Crosby. And that'll put Hayden Crosby in fourth place. Your standings currently are: first place, Kevin Williams with that blistering 3:03.47. Second place with Travis Bonelli, who has the fast halftime. Third place, Philip St. Pierre. Fourth place is Hayden Crosby with that 3:09.06. Fifth place, from Japan, Grant Tanaka. Sixth place, Sarah King in the 1,000 horsepower track fab. Seventh place, Sven Larson. Eighth place, James Hine. And ninth place, Tony Rebar with the DNF. Driver number 10 is going to be Bo Turner for red, white, and blue Baja, driving that open-wheeled Ford Bronco. And funny enough, he's not the only Ford Bronco on the circuit. We'll see one a little later. It seems to be a very popular platform, but everyone has their own chassis underneath. Bo Turner is no stranger to off-road racing. He is seen as possibly one of the contenders, early contenders for the championship, but obviously none of that means anything unless he can put down a good time. Big air into the first stretch. Bo Turner being another one of those put it all on the line kind of drivers, willing to risk it all for the fast time. And that is what we are looking for here at Alpha Desert Racing Championship. Into the uphill section here. And you can hear his engine is set up for a pretty low RPM run here. So it may sound, if you're just listening, like he's kind of bogged down, but he is flying right now through the straights into the technical section. Gets a little wide there, pushes a little too far. And handling that technical section very well. And he's going to brake hard for that dip, which is very surprising for him. Pushing to the halfway point. He's not going to make it. Kind of bobbles through that corner as well. And now he's really going to have to push through the back straight here. Hopefully he can keep it straight and all four tires on the ground as much as possible. Goes flying, takes the inside line over the highway gap. You can see if you favor the left side of the highway gap there, it puts you on the initial inside line for the first corner, and then it bounces you to the inside line of the second corner. You'll see quite a few drivers kind of try to position themselves for that, because it just requires less steering input as you're kind of bouncing around that whole area. Let's see how he can handle the rollers. Seems to handle pretty well. Big wheelie up onto the step up. Back onto the step down. Into the last left-hander of the course. Gets his back tire lifting just a little bit there. Hard on the throttle over the jump. Nice smooth landing. Your big downshift there, trying to slow up for that corner. And he will finish with a 3:07.06. Let's see where that's going to put him. So that will put Bo Turner in second place. He's going to knock Travis Bonelli off the second place spot on the podium. First place, Kevin Williams. Second place, Bo Turner with a 3:07.06, just barely beating out Travis Bonelli. Third place, Travis Bonelli. Fourth place, Philip St. Pierre. Fifth place, Hayden Crosby. Sixth place, Grant Tanaka. Seventh place, Sarah King. Eighth place, Sven Larson. Ninth is James Hine. 10th is Tony Reber. On to driver number 11, Lucas Zimmermann with Schlagen Racing out of Germany. Again, with the Ford Bronco body. Lucas Zimmermann racing with the double solid axle setup. So, as mentioned before, you'll see a lot of different chassis setups, suspension setups, and drivetrain setups here. So, Lucas Zimmermann with the double solid axles. And as mentioned, he is out of Germany. The whole team is based out of Germany, hence the team name. And he is flying through these corners here. Nice onboard shot here. And Lucas is new to off-road racing, actually. But it would not show it, judging by how fast he's driving right now. He came from European touring car racing. So all on-road, all pavement. As mentioned before, he is not showing any bit of it by how he's driving. He is cruising right now up the uphill section. Barely letting up to get around that crest. Back downhill to the under the highway section. Flying back uphill towards the medical checkpoint. You can hear him letting off to try to slow up for the little bit technical section here. Ooh, gets a little squirrely, hard hit on the front there. But he's able to recover nicely. Keep going into the dip here. Handles it perfectly. Unfortunately, he's not going to set the fast time for the halfway point. Again, Travis Bonelli has that time, and he set it at a 1:39.33, so it's a very difficult time to beat. But Lucas Zimmerman flying over that highway, like I mentioned before, taking the inside line, really favoring the left side of that jump to try to bounce to the inside line of both those following corners. So basically he has to put in no steering input. Oh, and he gets very sideways. And for a first-time off-road racer, Lucas Zimmerman is really impressing me. He's gotten a little bit sideways through that section twice now, but other than that, this has been an awesome run for him. Let's look at the onboard shot through the rollers here. You can see how big that step up is, and then the step down as well. Through the left-hander into the straightaway leading up to the jump. Big air over the jump. Full send. A little bit of a downshift there. Into the starting stretch. And that will finish. He will finish with a 3:13.35. So for his first run, not too shabby. So unfortunately, that will not put him in the top 5. But overall, like I said, first run for the rookie, very, very impressive. Especially racing on a bit of an older chassis. Like I said, running the double solid axle, not too bad. But your current standings are first place Kevin Williams, second place Turner, third place Bonelli, fourth place St. Pierre, fifth place Crosby. Sixth place, Grant Tanaka. Seventh place, Sarah King. Eighth place, the Norwegian Sven Larsen. And ninth place will be the German Lucas Zimmerman. And 10th place, James Hind. So, like I mentioned before, we have quite the diverse grid here. We have some Europeans, a Canadian, and then 11th place, Tony Reber, of course. We have a Japanese driver, so the Challenger Series has quite the diverse grid, and some of the teams coming from their respective countries, and then sometimes just the drivers coming from the respective country. But congratulations to Lucas Zimmerman on his first ever off-road run. Driver number 12 is going to be Marco Rossi for Team Off-Road. Marco coming from Italy, racing in the upgraded Autobello. So this is technically their, if they had 3 tiers, this is their middle tier vehicle. So a little bit faster than Tony Reber's vehicle, but not quite as fast as their, what you could call their main driver. This one also 2-wheel drive based on the Autobello platform. little squirrely there. Like I said, these are not the fastest of vehicles. They're more to develop the driver than to compete for first place, which is an interesting take on the series, because obviously many of the other drivers are competing for first place for that money, but Team Off-Road decided to throw some extra entries in, at least for the first round, to kind of get their feet wet. Into the left-hand turn here, really having to let up there. Gets a little squirrely through that corner there, takes it a little too much to the inside. Over the hill, over the crest. And this one gets a little bobbly downhill as well. Both Autobellos now have had trouble with that section in particular. Past the medical checkpoint, he is flying through there. Through the technical section. And he has made it further than his teammate Tony Reber now. Through the big dip here. And you can hear he's having to feather the throttle a lot and shift a lot. You can hear a lot of shifting as well. And that usually is not indicative of a, super fast run. Big air down the back straight. You can see that front end bounced up, and it kind of acted like a sail. It kind of wanted to keep him airborne. Little squirrely through the highway jump. This is Marco Rossi's first ever off-road run as well, similar to Tony Reber. Oh, and similar to Tony Reber, he is going to crash as well. You can see that front right axle there broken, unfortunately. Otherwise, he would be able to keep going. But that is going to end it for Marco Rossi. So that'll be the second DNF for Team Off-Road, unfortunately. And let's take a look at the replay of this crash. So you can see him. Like I said, this section is very challenging. It is very bumpy. And he just gets a little bit sideways. That suspension kind of compresses. And then as he's sideways, you can see it kind of uncompress and just send him rolling. So unfortunately, second DNF for Team Off-Road. Let's hope their main driver can do something a little more. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck with no points for the day. And not even no points, just no finish in general. So, first place, Kevin Williams. Second place, Bo Turner. Third place, Travis Bonelli. Fourth place, Philip St. Pierre. Fifth place, Hayden Crosby. Kevin Williams still with that crazy fast run. Sixth place, Grant Tanaka. Seventh place, Sarah King. Eighth place, Fenn Larson. Ninth place, Lucas Zimmerman. 10th place, James Hind. So as mentioned before, Team Off-Road has the resources. They have the money. They have two more drivers because right here, 11th place, Marco Rossi, DNF. 12th place, Tony Reber, DNF. So let's hope their final vehicle today can get a finish and try to get some points on the board. Driver number 13 is going to be Mason Munsum for the Track Fab Junior Race Group. So this is the Tier 2 division of the Track Fab factory team. And this is on a different platform, different chassis than Sarah King. You can hear smaller engine, higher RPM, two-wheel drive. So this is basically kind of who Tony Reber and Marco Rossi are competing against. A little bit lower horsepower, kind of a farm team. But despite that, Mason Munson is making quick work of the first section here. And you can hear very, very high RPM engine. Very high. For the next round, I'd like to get some of the technical specs of the vehicles and some more specs on the drivers. Give you guys a little bit more of a background, let you know who you're supporting. But Mason Munson is making quick work here, despite having one of the lowest horsepower vehicles on the grid. He came in saying he has to prove himself, and it looks like he's, making true of his word here. Through the underground section, past the medical checkpoint, he is screaming. And he's really trying to prove himself, because TrackFab did say this is a pilot program and he is not guaranteed a seat next week even, or next round. They are just kind of using this as like a beta program to see if they want to have a second team. So his seat is not guaranteed. So best of luck to Mason Munson, hoping he can keep his seat. Through the back straight here. Obviously not making the quickest time, but not the slowest either. Over the highway, takes the inside line nicely. Very smooth through that, actually. Into the back rollers here. See if we can make it through this corner. This corner does catch lower powered vehicles a little worse than higher power ones, but he makes it smooth. So now he just needs to survive these big rollers in here. Ooh, you can see he gets a little nose heavy there. Pushing a little wide. Kind of just jumping his way through him, actually. Not sure it's the fastest, but it is smooth. Into the step up. Down the step down. Through the final left-hander. Has to let up a little bit. I think you'd pushed wide with that two-wheel drive. Hard on the gas over the jump. Pretty long jump, though. Into the final horseshoe. And this is where you really want to be hard on the throttle if you can afford it. A 3:16.16. So like I said, not the fastest run, but very smooth run for being an underpowered vehicle compared to everyone else on the grid. Very, very smooth run. If I were TrackFab, and what do I know? I'm just a commentator. I would be quite happy with that as a pilot program, especially if you maybe want to throw some bigger parts on the junior car. I think he could actually compete with, the rest of the senior teams, basically. So I'd be very happy with that if I was TrackFab, but I'm not, so what do I know? And first through fifth hasn't changed. And in 10th place, you can see there, Mason Munson. So 6th place, Grant Tanaka. 7th place, Sarah King. 8th place, Sven Larson. 9th place, Lucas Zimmerman. And 10th place, Mason Munson. Let's see if he is able to hang on to a top 10 finish. I know he and the team would love that. 11th place, James Hine. 12th place, Marco Arazi. 13th place, Tony Reber. So yeah, congrats to Mason Munson. First time behind the wheel on an off-road circuit. And top 10 finish as of right now. In an underpowered vehicle, I want to add. Next up is Kevin Braun in Axis Racing. That beautiful green and blue livery. This again being a privateer team. It's important to not discredit the privateers because, as we've seen today already, they can set some crazy fast times. through the left-hand horseshoe into the straightaway. Let's see how hard he's willing to push it here. The downside of these privateer teams is they do need to be careful with braking things. They have, obviously less funding than a factory team, so it's important to try to preserve as many parts as you can. So a big wreck is obviously a little more detrimental to them than a factory team. But Kevin Braun running very smooth through that first section. Very smooth. Nice through the corners leading up to the uphill section. Cresting the hill. Down to the underground section. Nice onboard shot of him going under the highway, past the medical checkpoint. Hard on the brakes into the technical section. You can see it's called the technical section because it's by far the slowest, and it's got quite a few bumps that can really throw you wide, flip you over, as we've seen earlier. So it is the slowest, most technical portion of the track. Coming up to the halfway point, into the back straightaway. Hard on the gas. As you've seen before, the straightaway is not smooth by any means, but most of the suspension in this series can handle it quite well, so you can pretty much go pedal to the metal here. Ooh, and kind of gets a weird little hop over the highways. Front tires did not leave the ground. Luckily, he can hang on to that. He's going to keep going. Fantastic recovery by Kevin Braun here. And it sounds like his engine's just a little underpowered as well. Like I said, this is a first-time privateer team. So they're, probably testing some stuff out, seeing what they need to do better. And, you don't know what you don't know, so this first round will be a good test for them. They'll know what they need to work on. Obviously, like I said before, no engine tuning, but different engine parts. If there's parts available for them and they want to install them, they are more than welcome to. Into the final left-hander here. Up the straightaway leading to the ramp. Put on a show for the crowd. And that suspension their suspension really eats up a lot of that air. You can see over the highway they didn't get a lot of air, and over that jump it kind of absorbed a lot of that air as well. And Kevin Braun's going to finish with a 3:17.48. So not the fastest run, but again, privateer team trying their hardest. And first round is always a good round to see what you need to do better for the next one. So, for your standings, you have Kevin Williams, Bo Turner, Travis Bonelli, Philip St. Pierre, Hayden Crosby. We'll see if anyone can knock any of these drivers off the top 5 bracket. 6th place, Grant Tanaka. 7th place, Sarah King. Sven Larson in 8th place. At 9th place, Lucas Zimmerman. 10th place, Mason Munson. So yeah, we'll see if anyone can knock the top 5 off the top 5 spot. We can see if Mason Munson can hang on to a top 10 spot. 11th place, Kevin Braun. Nice run for his first run as a privateer. 12th place, James Hind. 13th, Marco Rossi, DNF. 14th, Tony Reber, DNF. So, 14 drivers down, 4 more to go. Let us know in the comments down below how you're enjoying the series. Are you enjoying this more or less than the Truck Series? Driver number 15 is Carson Winks for Team Off-Road, the top tier driver for Team Off-Road. So they're really hoping he can pull some magic out of that vehicle. As you can see, similar design to the Autobellos, but this is an in-house chassis that they have designed themselves. So fast through the first horseshoe. Fast through the second horseshoe. Carson Winks is wasting no time. He knows the pressure is on him from the team here. Takes the left section, and he is cruising right now. You see the helicopter gets a little bit low there. One thing you'll notice as well is, despite only having one driver because the circuits are so short, most vehicles are still running with the two-seat setup. In case ADR decides to throw a curveball in and throw a long course in, because that is a possibility. The drivers do not know what the courses are going to look like until they show up day of or weekend of. So there is always that possibility that, ooh, Carson Winks pushes a little wide, gets a little bumpy there. He's getting a little squirrely, might be pushing a little too hard here. You know, like I said before, the pressure is on for him. But yeah, you'll notice a lot of the drivers run two-seated setups, in case ADR throws a curveball, or they feel, you know, like racing in another series. ADR does not lock you into their series. Only you are allowed to race in other competitions as well. So they basically run the standard Baja setup, even though you, in this series, are not required to run a dual seat setup. You see the helicopter gets quite close over the highway gap there, giving you a nice action shot. Carson Winks gets a little kind of wobbly over on the recovery over the highway gap, but hangs on to it quite well, and he's still hauling. He's cruising. You can hear some of these vehicles have to be a little bit more active on the shifting than other ones. Some people run 3 gears, some people run 4 gears, some people run 5 gears, and there's even a few that I've seen that sometimes run 6 gears. So obviously with 3 gears, you're shifting a lot less than you would be with 6 gears. I don't know what Carson Winks is driving here, but yeah, it is something to keep in mind. Shifting can really slow you down, especially depending on the gearbox. Nice onboard shot leading up to the ramp here. Big air, really pushing it hard. Now hard onto the brakes into the horseshoe. Coming up to the finish line. Let's see what he can do here. 3:15.21. And that will be enough to put him in, I think, 10th place. Let's take a look. So, top 5 standings do not change. Kevin Williams, Bo Turner, Travis Budelli, Philip St. Pierre, and Hayden Crosby rounding up the top 5. Now for the top 10, you have Grant Tanaka, Sarah King, Sven Larson, Lucas Zimmerman, and right there for Team Off-Road, Carson Winks. So Carson Winks with 3 drivers left, hoping to hang on to that top 10 spot. Will he be able to? I don't know. And 11th place, Mason Munson. 12th place, Kevin Braun. 13th place, James Hine. 14th, Marco Rossi. And 15th, Tony Reber. So a bit of weight off of Team Off-Road's back, getting that finish. They got 1 vehicle down. I'm sure they're hoping they can hang on to 10th place for some points. Best of luck to them. Up next, driver 16, Randy Thomas for the 2nd Rough Country Crawling Senior Team entry. well, second rough country crawling entry. Nice overhead shot of the start line here. Over the tabletop, leading into the first right-hander. Randy Thomas is another driver known for pushing it to the max. As you can see, big air over or on the step down into the straightaway here. And rough country crawling being something of a powerhouse team as well in the series. Not just this series, but the off-road racing in general. And not just Baja. They're known for their Ultra 4 and crawling competition teams as well. And Randy Thomas is no stranger to off-road racing. And he's making quick work of this first section. Into the underground. Up to the medical checkpoint. And he is flying into the technical section. Let's see if he can get slowed up in time. It's important to slow up, but it's also important to keep going fast, and that's why this section has been a bit of a challenge through practice, but a lot of the drivers have handled it very well. You can see Randy getting a little wobbly through there. Let's see how he handles the big dip coming up here. He's going to brake pretty hard for it. He's not going to set the fast time for the halfway point, but he still is flying hard on the throttle through the back section. Oh, gets a real wobbly through the highway gap here. See if he can recover. Luckily, he's got a very, very fast vehicle, so he should be able to recover nicely. You can see that suspension handling all those little rollers quite well. Let's see how they handle the bigger rollers coming up through this corner here. You can see he's just powering through them. Coming up to the step up. Lets off a little bit. Down the step down, big air. Hard hit. Into the left-hander. Now this is really where you need to get on the throttle and push as hard as you can through this last final stretch here. Puts on a show for the crowd. Sideways into the final horseshoe. Really trying to not hit that back wall there. Over the finish line with a 3:09.45. Ooh, gets a little squirrely over the final tabletop there. Hang on to it, Randy. So for your top five, you have Kevin Williams, Bo Turner, Travis Bonelli, Philip St. Pierre, and Hayden Crosby. And in sixth place, Randy Thomas will take the spot, barely beating out Grant Tanaka and Sarah King. That sixth through eighth place is very tight. That is an incredibly tight gap there, separated by a 1/10 of a second. So congrats to Randy Thomas for placing himself in a top 10. With only 2 drivers left, it is guaranteed he finishes with the top 10 spot. 11th place, Carson Winks gets knocked out of the top 10, unfortunately, for Team Off-Road. Mason Munson in 12th, 13th, Kevin Braun, 14th, James Hind, 15th, Marco Rossi. And in 16th place will be Tony Reber with that DNF. And driver number 17 is going to be Miguel Soto for Jimco Racing, another factory team. Truggy style design. Jimco being known as something of a powerhouse, a mainstream manufacturer in off-road racing. Let's see if Miguel can get into the top 10 or even on the podium. And just based off this first corner, you can hear he's running an open differential. You can hear when one of those rear tires, being a two-wheel drive design, you can hear when one of the rear tires gets off the ground a little bit, you can hear the engine RPM start raising quite a bit. And that is because of the open differential. Miguel Soto is no stranger to the off-road racing scene. Hailing from Baja, Mexico. Grew up watching the Baja race. It's a little squirrely through the left-hander and right-hander. Up the uphill section. Back down to the underground. Yeah, as mentioned before, Miguel is no stranger to off-road racing. He grew up racing solo buggies in a junior championship. This is his first entry into kind of the big leagues here, racing the double-seated Jimco. So far, he's having a pretty decent run. Handles the dip there nicely. Let's see where he hits the halfway point at a 145. So pretty much right on average. So we'll see how if he can really put the speed into the second half here. It seems as if 142 to 145 has been about the midway point. Obviously, Travis Bonelli with that blistering 139. Oh my gosh. Miguel Soto sending it over the highway. Some big air over that gap. I think that's probably one of the longest jumps of the day. And that Jimco is handling the bumps quite well through this back section. Let's see how well it can handle the rollers here. It's a little squirrely through that corner. Like I said, this first round is going to be a big test for a lot of these drivers and teams, especially not being able to change suspension tuning, tire pressure, or engine tunes. It's really a challenge of trying to puzzle pieces together. And, you know, with some of these custom chassis, that may mean manufacturing a whole new part if you don't have off-the-shelf parts compatible with your setup. So it could be a very big money pit in the series, and that's kind of the challenge of it. But as I mentioned, there has been murmurs of allowing tire pressure change. Still no tuning, still no suspension tuning, but Miguel Soto is going to finish with a 3:12.03 in the Jimco factory team Truggy. And your top five unchanged are going to be Kevin Williams with a 3:03.47, Bo Turner, Travis Bonelli, Philip St. Pierre, and Hayden Crosby. Sixth place is going to be Randy Thomas. Seventh place, Grant Tanaka. Eighth place, Sarah King. All three of those still within one tenth of each other. Sorry. Ninth place, Sven Larson for the Rough Country Crawling Junior Team, and 10th place Miguel Soto in the Jimco Factory Team. 11th place the German Lucas Zimmermann with the Privateer Bronco out of Germany. 12th place Carson Winks. 13th place Mason Munson. 14th place Kevin Braun. 15th James Hind. 16th place, Marco Rossi with the DNF. And 17th place, Tony Reber with a DNF. So unfortunately, Team Off-Road will not be getting points this week. And like I said, this is another program similar to TrackFab where they're kind of running a pilot, so it's not guaranteed that they even keep the Autobellos in the series for the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens in the next round. Driver number 18 in another TrackFab is going to be Ryder Sampson. For, I believe, I'm not entirely sure why the team didn't come up. Let me find the team quick for Ryder Sampson. So Ryder Sampson will be racing in the smaller chassis TrackFab for Folk Factory Racing. In that nice red, white, and blue livery. And again, you can hear that very high-pitched, smaller engine, high RPM, two-wheel drive. Big air down the backstretch here. So this is essentially the same setup-ish as Mason Munson in the TrackFab Junior Race Group car or buggy. So we'll see who can actually win this little battle of the TrackFab lights. Over the hill here. Ooh, gets a little squirrely. And similar to Mason Munson, Ryder Sampson, also a rookie. Folk decided very close to the this week, they decided to put an entry in, and they chose the TrackFab Apache, which is the smaller chassis, as their platform for now. And they decided to take a chance on a rookie driver. So Ryder Sampson putting in some good work here, getting to the halfway point at a 147. On to the backstretch here. And he is cruising. Big air over the highway gap. Ooh, hard hit though. Handles it quite well. Like I said before, the TrackFab by far the most popular platform in the series right now. It's really the only one that really has a lot of duplicates on this course, but I believe they all have different engines. So that is the big difference. And Ryder Sampson getting some big air over one of the rollers here. Brakes hard for the step up. Big hit down, or big jump down the step down. Through the final left-hander. It's important to get back on the throttle as hard as possible. Big air for the crowd. Into the final right-hand turn, and he's making good time here. And Ryder Sampson is going to finish with a 3:16.09. Now, did he beat the other TrackFab Apache, driven by Mason Munson? So your final standings are going to be Kevin Williams with a 3:03.47, fast time. Bo Turner with a 3:07.06. Travis Benelli with the fastest half time at 3:07.47, and the fast time being 1:39.33. Fourth place, Philip St. Pierre. Fifth place, Hayden Crosby at 3:09.06. Sixth place, Randy Thomas with a 3:09.45. Seventh place, Grant Tanaka, 3:09.54. and Sarah King 309.55. Ninth place, the Norwegian Sven Larsen at 311.25. 10th place, the Mexican driver Miguel Soto at 312.03. 11th place, the German Lucas Zimmermann 313.35. 12th place, Carson Winks at 315.21. 13th place, Ryder Sampson at 316.09. 14th place, the other TrackFab Apache for TrackFab Junior Team, Mason Munson at 316.16. 15th place, Kevin Braun. 16th place, James Hine with 327.18. 17th place, Marco Rossi with the DNF. And rounding it off, 18th, Tony Reber with the DNF. So, as far as the little rivalry goes between the TrackFab Apaches, Ryder Sampson beats Mason Munson by 0.07 of a second. So about as close as it can get. Let's look at the final points for the week. Kevin Williams at 10 points, Bo Turner 9 points, Travis Benelli 8 points, St. Pierre 7 points, Randy Thompson 5 points, Grant Tanaka 4 points, Sarah King 3 points, Larson 2 points, Soto 1 point. And I apologize, I do believe I missed Benelli at hang on. Sorry, Hayden Crosby at 6 points. And then obviously the following with 0 points. But that's going to be it for this episode, this round of ADR Challenger Series. Round number 1 is complete. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Is there anything else you'd like to see? Do you like the point setup? Do you think we should do top 10 qualifying, or should we do all drivers at once? Because we do have more entries coming into the next round, so it's going to be a lot of people. Other than that, that's it for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. This has been Carter. Peace out.